Welcome to our week-long vacation with Manjushri, who's a very good person to have a vacation with. He won't bother you at all. If you're bothered during the retreat, it's your own mind. Okay, no escaping this one. So with a mind that wishes to overcome the oppressions of afflictions and karma, not only for ourselves, but for all living beings, then let's generate the bodhicitta motivation and practice the steps of the path that lead us to Manjushri's state. Usually people think of outside oppression and external liberation and, some external hero to lead them to the perfect place. Here we're doing it all internally, the internal oppression, the path that we have to practice ourselves to transform our minds to get to another state of being. Okay, so I thought I would read something from one of Lama Yeshe's teachings. But before doing that, I want to talk a little bit about how to see Manjushri, okay? Because though, people, not only those raised in theistic society, but the theistic cultures, but others too, tend to want a supreme being that's all-powerful, that will rush down and pick us up and save us, okay? And so people can easily take any of the Buddha figures and see them that way, because we chant and we talk about their good qualities and so on, but none of the deities, especially Manjushri, who's the representation of wisdom, believe in a creator God or an all-powerful being who's going to save us. Such things are difficult to prove the existence of such a being would be quite difficult logically. But it is comforting emotionally. And many people go, first they get in touch with, first they decide what they believe, and then they develop the rationale why they believe it. In Buddhism, we do it the opposite way. We hear things, we think about them, we analyze them, and then comes the trust and the faith in a very realistic way. So the Buddhas are omniscient. They know everything because the obstacles to all knowing have been removed, but they are not all powerful. What is it that interferes with that? Our karma, our actions. Okay, so the Buddhas can, they do everything they possibly can to benefit us, but they can't go in our own minds and flick a few switches and make us think differently. They can't pour the Dharma realizations into our mind. So even though we may do many request prayers for inspiration, we're more like talking to ourselves, saying our aspirations, and then asking for the Buddha's inspiration to actualize that, but recognizing that we're the ones who are responsible for creating the cause. Yeah, that the Buddhas have no power to swoop down, pick us up, and take us to Never Never Land, where we will forever be with Peter Pan and Tinkerbell and free of Captain Hook. Okay, but it's not like that. Okay. So there's kind of three ways to see Manjushri. One is as a person, and that's the way people often go to it first. So when you're chanting the praise to Manjushri, you see him as a person and relating to him as a person. That's one way to do it. But the problem with that is that then it's easy to impute God. And also, since we tend to grasp at all persons as inherently existent, we see Manjushri as inherently existent too. And that, becomes an interference. The second way of seeing Manjushri is as a physical manifestation or physical embodiment of enlightened qualities. So we think of the qualities of the Buddhas and then imagine those appearing in a physical form. So that takes the emphasis off Manjushri being a person, okay, but rather a manifestation, an embodiment of these qualities. And so there we're focusing on the qualities, and we're not just praising Manjushri for having those qualities, but inside our own mind, we're saying, I want to develop those same qualities myself. Okay. And so in that way, we're setting our aspiration. And then that leads to a third way of seeing Manjushri, which is the Buddha that we will become in the future. So we can also, take refuge and generate aspirations, projecting our, our itty bitty, teeny weeny virtuous qualities now, imagining them growing through our practice and becoming Manjushri. And so seeing it, Manjushri as our future self, okay, free of all of our complaining mind, our judgmental mind, our grudge-holding mind, our mind full of resentment, full of trauma, full of betrayal, full of greed, full of, craving. Okay, so to see ourselves as a being free of all of that, who has developed the paramitas, the excellent qualities to their utmost. Okay, so these three ways of seeing Manjushri, you can use different ones at different times according to how you feel and what you need at that particular time. So seeing him as a person who's done what you want to do, seeing him as a physical embodiment of the qualities that you want to develop, and seeing Manjushri as the Buddha that you will become in the future. Okay, so that helps put Manjushri in a little bit, hopefully, perspective that doesn't make him some kind of savior. Yeah. And so that's one of the reasons why I really disagree with using Christian language in Buddhism. Okay. Especially the word sin. Like, banish that word. Yeah. Okay. So that's a little introduction to Manjushri. Lama Yeshe, when he started to talk about the practice, the file is entitled Refuge in Bodhicitta, but he talks a little bit about the place to do retreat, and then he goes directly into bodhicitta. Okay, now you have to realize when you're hearing teachings on bodhicitta, you're also hearing teachings about what the Buddha's mind is like. Okay? So it's also giving you the idea of what a Buddha is, and you're taking refuge in that too at the same time that you're trying to generate that bodhicitta. Of course, before generating bodhicitta, we have to, do any of either of the two methods to generate bodhicitta. And also, as a basis for that, the four immeasurable thoughts: love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. And it's that Lama talks about a lot in that file. But I'll start with, I didn't take the mouse, did I? Okay. No, I think I'll hopefully be okay. Okay. No, this. Okay. Okay, so first he talks about needing the initiation. Yeah. So that's why as a group we'll be doing the front generation, and then the people who have the proper abilities, I can go through the self-generation sometime with you. Okay. So Lama starts talking about where you do the retreat. So a retreat place that is isolated and removed from afflictive influences is like Lama Zopa's cave at Laudo. Okay, if you've ever been this is Laudo. Laudo is outside of, what's the town? Up in, it's in Solukhumbu, yeah, outside of, no, not, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's in the middle of the mountains. High mountains, okay? So, yeah. So it's Lama Zopa, previous life, was a yogi in a cave up in Laudo. So that's why he's talking about it. The experience of Tibetan lamas is that retreat should be in an isolated place. At the big monastic colleges, they receive the information and then they go to a small isolated place to meditate. Okay? It means an ascetic isolated place, not a luxurious isolated place like an American's isolated place. Americans and Europeans make an isolated place fantastic. Yeah, through their self-absorption, they make the place fantastically luxurious. That's different, isn't it? Fantastic people, they know how to enjoy their trip. Sometimes they make it very isolated and do not even allow their friends to come. If anyone appears, don't come. Why have you come? It is isolated, but it is not ascetic isolated. There is too much confusion vibration. Okay, so you're saying you're going to an isolated place, but all your friends kind of drop by to check, see how you are and have tea. He continues, you should cut superstitious connections, such as expecting maybe my friend will come, or maybe my parents will send me some cheesecake. Yeah. These are two ways to cut, there are two ways to cut such expectations: external cutting and internal cutting. This yoga method first slowly cuts external superstitious distractions, and then comes cutting internal superstitions themselves. Okay, you cannot cut instantly. Pum! Lama always likes to go, pum! You do it instantly. Yeah, you cut all your superstitious connections. Pum! Yeah, instantly gone. So he's saying you can't do that. that is the thinking of Western people. Yeah, like quick, cheap, and easy. Nor can you instantly develop internal realizations. Pum! Those who try to do it like this are always, those who try to do it like this always meet complications and eventually give up. I cannot do it. This shows no understanding. Okay? So there he's talking about our expectations when we go into Dharma practice. Yeah. And we hear about, enlightenment in this life and how fantastic we can get enlightened, check that off of our list of things to do, and then go on, to whatever else we want to do. But we don't change quickly like that. It is a long path with many parts to it. There's not just one simple thing to do and then we're enlightened. Yeah. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama repeatedly tells us that our mind is a very complicated thing. And so just one meditation technique is not going to develop all the aspects of our mind to develop. And just one technique is not going to rid ourselves of everything. Okay, so he's really emphasizing to become fully awakened, we need multiple kinds of meditation, multiple teachings, and different kinds of practices to purify the mind, to create the merit, to cultivate so many different qualities. Okay, because these qualities are not just going to come like this. And, you can study a lot and still not have developed those qualities. So you might get a degree for having completed so much study, but that degree doesn't mean that you have the qualities. Okay, so, as Western people, we're very attached to degrees. Look, I have my piece of paper. Yeah, this says I graduated from, such and such high school, such and such college. I have a PhD. I did postgraduate work. I'm Lama, and that is, certifies we have certain knowledge. It doesn't mean we have wisdom. Okay, knowledge and wisdom are two different things. Yeah, we need knowledge, but that knowledge needs to be transformed into wisdom. Yeah, and integrated into our very being. So he's saying, let go of the expectations, because when we have a lot of expectations, we run into problems. Yeah, like our expectations are not met. And then we say, I'm a failure, I've been practicing so long. Yeah, I did a meditation course 6 months ago. I'm still not awakened. This is, I'm a failure. I can't do it, So to rid ourselves of those kinds of things. Yeah. Of course, we come into Tibetan society and we meet all these Rinpoches, so people who have been identified as incarnations of previous masters. Yeah. And since we come in and we feel so passionate about Buddhism, the thought comes, maybe I'm a Rinpoche too, and they haven't identified me. Yeah. After all, I have such a heartfelt connection. I have so much faith. I just really, if they gave me a chance and identified me, I would just grow and blossom and become the Dalai Lama of the West. Yeah, please save me. Okay, but that thought comes in the mind because you see it in Tibetan society, and then you go, well, why not me too? Yeah. So that usually is a phase that you go through and you grow out of. Yeah, but some people don't, and they go to different lamas wanting to be recognized. Yeah. So the meditation room where you actualize the yoga method should be clean, clear, without mental disorder. Okay, so clean, clear physically, okay, but our mind should be clean, clear, without mental disorder. Okay, what is mental disorder? All of our garbage thoughts. I'm going to do retreat. Yeah, I have this connection with Manjushri. I'm going to realize emptiness, within the first day, I'm just going to have the realization of emptiness. That's our mental disorder, Or other mental disorder is, God, I gotta sit another retreat. My legs hurt, my back hurts, I can't concentrate. This practice is so boring. I want to do something interesting, but I gotta sit here. Okay, so you're assigning yourself to have a horrible retreat. Yeah. The first one, you're assigning yourself to be a little disappointed that you didn't become a Buddha. But the second one is you're assigning yourself like, I'm miserable. Yeah, I'm miserable. Manjushri's supposed to do something for me, but I just can't relate to Manjushri. Okay, so the meditation room where you actualize the yoga method should be clean, clear, without mental disorder. Not like my room, which is a jumble of papers. The retreat room is so simple, with nothing hanging on the wall to make you agitated. Okay, sometimes you can hang your shoulder bag somewhere, and it gives you a different uneasy feeling. Do you know what I mean? Because your shoulder bag is what you grab when you go out. Yeah. So, objects of personal superstition are not so good. So make the retreat house clean, clear. Okay. So this is why we do not put photos of our relatives and our pets on the altar. Okay. First of all, they are not objects of our taking refuge, unless you want to learn how to bark properly. Yeah. But also because we're attached to them. And so you start out looking at Manjushri, and then you look at your dog and your cat and your child and your parent, and then you start getting nostalgic and thinking of how lovely it would be to be with them. I mean, especially the 4th of July. Don't you want to have a 4th of July all-American barbecue with your huge family, everybody together? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Setting off fireworks just like you were when you were a kid. Don't you want to do that? You're not nodding your head. Yeah. Don't you? But it's barbecued, what do you have? Barbecued hamburgers. Yeah. The all-American meal. Hamburgers, French fries. Yeah. The family together, doesn't that pull at you? The whole family together. No. Well, you're shaking your head now, but when you request leave to go visit your family, you're not shaking your head no. You're saying, I want to go. I want to go. I want to go. I haven't seen them in a long time, and they need me, which means I need them. So I want to go. Is it okay? Okay. So then the Buddha place an image of Manjushri or whatever is suitable on the altar. This is from the text describing the retreat place. And a torma on 4 lotus petals in front of the image. Arrange 7 offerings neatly and beautifully. The Buddha image comes from the Buddha's wisdom, and all the teachings come from the Buddha's great kindness. So whenever you see a Buddha image, you should remember his fantastic kindness and wisdom. In this world, we are trying to receive wisdom information. So place a Buddha image on the altar. Okay. I am just adding this commentary. It is not in the text. If you have an image of Manjushri, place it on the altar, very nicely arranged with flowers and other offerings. Okay? So the idea is when we have the Buddha image, we look at it and we think, this is what I can become. These are the qualities that I'm taking refuge in, that I want to cultivate. Okay? And that's the purpose of having an altar. You know, some days you're just totally frenzied and freaked out and you have gazillions of things to do. And then you walk past the altar in your room and there's the Buddha sitting there so peacefully. And it's jarring, you know, because I'm like, and there's the Buddha like this. And it's like, oh, I can be like that too. I don't need to be my usual frenetic self. So it's good. It makes us think and calms our mind down. Then he continues, it is very important to have a comfortable professional cushion. I'm almost sorry I read that because I'm envisioning what the meditation hall is going to look like. Yeah, as you pull out everything soft, inflatable, with a backrest, with a footrest. Yeah, with everything so you can sit comfortably. But let me tell you, you will never find a cushion that is perfectly comfortable. Yeah, you will try. Yeah, and you will drive your neighbors in the meditation hall crazy, changing cushions every session. But you will never find one that is totally comfortable. Okay, why not? Because we are never satisfied. Okay, you must feel as if you really want to sit in meditation. Yeah, like the feeling you have that you want to lie on a very comfortable bed. Okay, except you're not lying on a very comfortable bed. You're sitting upright in your meditation. The cushion should not be like an uncomfortable bed, hurting here and hurting there. Okay, so you're not sitting flat because that can really add pressure on your legs. So it's good to have, some cushion under your rear. Okay. So now he goes into talking about the 4 immeasurables, and he starts with immeasurable love. The words of the 4 immeasurable thoughts are one thing. You need to be more concerned with the actual meaning. Okay, because we always say it. Let's recite it. Okay. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings not be separated from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings be free of bias, attachment, and anger. Okay, so we say it. The words are powerful. Are we focusing on the meaning of the words? Or have our distractions set in already? Okay, so we need to be more concerned with the actual meaning. So immeasurable love. Yeah, immeasurable means infinite, divine love. How is it infinite? Ordinary egotistical love is limited. I only love him. That is samsaric love. The object of immeasurable love is not just one particular person. It is countless beings. Okay, so big difference, because in the world, our love is very circumscribed towards certain people who just happen to be the ones who are nice to us and who help us. Yeah. We all have fundamental love. So there is some factor of love in our mind already. Yeah. We all have fundamental love. Even animals have love. But the problem with human love is that it is limited. We seek the object of our love. Amongst the humans, or amongst all things in the universe, we choose who or what we are going to love. We choose the particular one that is our flavor. This is my love object. Okay? In Buddhist love, you're not choosing particular ones and elevating them. Okay? Normally, we say that love is always good, but such narrow, fanatical love is a human problem because it becomes an obsession. Okay, so he's calling it love because that's what we usually call it in society. But what he's referring to is strong attachment. Okay. Mm-hmm. Fickle loves cause reactions that are symptoms of our dualistic conflict. For example, when our students come in contact with Buddhism, their love is transformed into, I love Buddhism, or I love Dharma. This feeling arises because they think that Dharma is really good. It helps them. I was at the bottom and this Buddhism lifted me up. Buddhism becomes their flavor, their friend. Yeah. So you become a born-again Buddhist. Yeah. Just like there's born-again vegetarians, born-again vegans. Yeah. Have you ever come across anybody who's born again? I don't care into what they're born again, but they have certain characteristics. Yeah. They push and they don't listen. And they are absolutely right from A to Z. Yeah. So if we look at the Dharma, I am a born-again Buddhist, and I'm going to convert all my friends and call them and tell them this is the most wonderful thing. Yeah. Then there's something going on that isn't particularly worthwhile. Okay. At the beginning, each time you follow Dharma, you feel good, and instinctively you feel that what is not Buddhism is not important. Especially when you develop some philosophy or doctrine, you see other religions as contradictory and you put them down. Just hearing the words, you think, I don't like to hear this. Whether it is Muslim, Hindu, Christian, or whatever, you reject even listening to what they say. There is no love present. Your attitude is completely a cause of conflict rather than being tolerant and liberating yourself. Okay? So, yeah, I mean, you see, we've all met born-again people from other religions and other whatever it is they're at. And then we become like that in terms of the Dharma. And everything else is bad, it's evil, it's wrong view. Yeah. And that is definitely not the Buddhist view. Buddha's very clear. Buddha in his life actually, respected the people from other religions. And he told his supporters who used to offer alms to the mendicants from other religions, he told them to continue doing that, not to the expense of offering to the Buddhist mendicants, but, don't just say, oh, these people are awful, and run away from them. Okay? Because if we do, our attitude is the cause of conflict rather than being tolerant and liberating ourselves. And unfortunately, that is what is happening in the country very often, with this thing of, if you're different from me, I'm not even going to work for you. Yeah. So we don't want to get into that kind of mind state. So Lama continues, I am talking about your point of view. I love Dharma. This incredible obsessive love is too much. The proper function of Dharma is to solve your problems. You should use it as an antidote to your problems, whereas obsessively loving Dharma only causes conflict and a samsaric result. It causes you to have bad communication. When somebody else talks about their religious views, you just say, yes, yes, wanting to ignore them. And that becomes a problem. Or you say, no, no, and walk away from them. And that becomes a problem. Your ordinary love becomes a problem because it is not a truly religious way of loving, where one believes that there are no limits to the object of one's love. That's the true way of loving. If you check up, you have one sentient being who is the object of your love. And most times you will say that the reason why you love this person is because he or she is kind to you. Actually, this reason for loving another applies equally to all universal sentient beings, because they've all been kind to us, if not in this life, then in previous lives, and will be in future lives. Love should be limitless, but don't take this too literally. I should love everybody equally, therefore I give myself to anybody who wants. Or I will sleep with everybody because I love everybody. Okay, so he's talking to a group of young hippies, young people. But it's not just young people who think like this. It's middle-aged people and old people too. Yeah. Okay. Some young people think like that these days. I heard that in Australia there was a community of people who believe that it is wrong for one person to possess another man or woman. And amongst the community, they live completely freely. But after some time, the community became completely berserk. It is an interesting idea, incredibly idealistic. It is good that young people are trying. They take an idea and put it into practice, but it doesn't work. This is very interesting human evolution. Yeah. So true, deep, universal love can also be very wrathful. Rather than laughing, it can be with big eyes like this. Lama goes, okay. But our interpretation of love is so superficial. If we see somebody looking with big eyes at us and a ferocious look, we think, oh, he doesn't like me. That is how we interpret. But a Tibetan saint said, a negative friend does not necessarily look like a scorpion. The mere appearance of a scorpion makes us afraid, but a negative friend is not necessarily like that. He does not show you clothes, or he does not give you clothes, or say, oh, you are cold, let me take care of you. On the other hand, the negative friend who brings you down makes a show of loving kindness, of being incredibly dear to you, but he is cheating you. Okay, so we usually think, who's our friend? Who are the the people who are kindest to us, who do what we want when we want them to do it, who cherish above us, above everybody else, somebody to whom we are special because we want to be special to somebody, because if we are, then it means that we exist. And it also fulfills that factor of, well, temporarily it fulfills that loneliness. Okay. But in Buddhism, the negative friend, like the quote he said, doesn't look like a scorpion. Often the negative friends are the people who love us in a samsaric way, in an ordinary way. So those are the people who say, why are you going to a retreat over the 4th of July? If we can have so much fun, we can go to the beach. We can go swimming. You can go play golf in Palm Springs. You can watch, there must be some kind of bowl that you can watch, Super Bowl, I don't know, something. Or, some kind of movie, or you can go lie, in the sun and get a tan because you don't feel like going to the shop and having to pay money to get a tan. So we think that, the person who wants to take us on vacation to a lovely place, who gives us money, who feeds our attachments, we think that person is the kind person. But actually that person is feeding our attachments and taking us away from the Dharma. Yeah. Whereas sometimes the people who really care about us, they may look a bit ferocious towards us, or they may speak a bit strongly to us, but that's because they say it out of care. But those people we don't want to listen to. You speak strongly, you point out my fault, you do not exist. I am not paying any attention to you. Okay. So we have to watch our reactions. I will make a simple example. A common problem in the West is conflict between parents and their children. How many had that? Yeah. Okay. How many still have it? Okay. The instinctive nature of most parents is to love their children. No matter what their children do, they really love their son or daughter. But the aspect they show is unskillful. The mother shows the aspect of disapproval. You are no good. And it's not usual. Well, yeah, sometimes you get told you're no good. You're hopeless. What, some kid like you who acts like that is never going to amount to anything. Parents say that to their kids. Yeah. Or they just say, you're bad. You're a bad girl. You're a bad boy. You have no idea what you did or why you're bad. But, suddenly those words come and love is withdrawn. Okay. So the Lama is saying, but how they show their love sometimes is unskillful. The parents become frustrated when children are not successful or when they act stupidly, and they become very emotional and worried. Okay? So, parents, they want their kids to have a wonderful, smooth life, no problems. They want their parents to have, their kids to have everything they didn't have, to be everything they weren't, But in the process of having those expectations and having that kind of love, in quotes, for their child, they often get really fed up with the kid when their kids are not acting according to how they think their kids should act. Okay? So, it could be when you're very little, you're quite obedient. And then when you become a teenager, you spread your wings and a lot of conflict happens. Or it could start from when you're young. You don't like to listen to authority and, speak back. Or, you know, you don't like to clean your room. You don't want to go to piano lessons. You know, the parents want you to do certain things. They want you to be a baseball star or a basketball star or a movie star or something famous, so that when they meet with their friends, they could say, my daughter, my son is this. Yeah. They want to be proud of us. Yeah. Or those of you who have kids, want to be proud of your kids. They're an extension of yourself. But that really it can create a lot of anger and harsh feelings too, because whenever the child doesn't act the way you want them to, you lash out, thinking that you're directing the child towards something good. Yeah. But that's not always the response. Okay, so the parents become frustrated. They become, when the child acts stupidly, you know, and children do act stupidly. There is no doubt about it. Okay, parents do too. Yeah. So sometimes parents show much anger, and the children interpret this as she hates me or he hates me. Yeah. From the parents' side, they think they're helping to mold the child into somebody who will succeed in society. From the child's side, you feel, oh, they don't care about me. They hate me. So the kids do not see that behind this anger, the parents have deep love. Actually, it does not matter who you are. It is almost impossible for parents not to have some deep love for their child. Yeah. And we have, I've heard from people who come here and say, my parents didn't love me, just flat out. They didn't love me at all, period. And that is difficult to believe because, as Lama says, it's almost impossible for a parent not to feel love and concern for their child. Yeah. But often kids can't see it. And often parents have a hard time expressing it properly so that the kids can see it. Okay, but with her inner confusion, or his inner confusion, Mommy and Daddy cannot deal with the circumstances. They cannot put it together, that's all. So Mom and Dad have their own problems. Yeah, we expected our parents not to have any problems. They have problems. And they can't, get everything together. They aren't perfect. Their temper overcomes them. Yeah. And, but we want our parents to be perfect. It would be so nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. And we would grow up so much more emotionally balanced if our parents, just were really kind and together people, But you think even if your parent were a Buddha, do you think you'd never get yelled at? Yeah, when you act like a brat, do you think if your parent was a Buddha, the parent would say, oh, yes, very good? No, Buddha would let us know. Yeah. You don't act like that. You don't throw ketchup on the wall. You don't throw ceramic plates so that they shatter all over the place. Okay. Then immeasurable compassion. Okay. He's saying in Tibetan, the term is ningje. In Sanskrit, it's karuna. It is funny, karuna is now part of the Western language, but the Sanskrit for love is not. Isn't that interesting? Although I don't know, how much is karuna part of the Western language? I don't think so much. One of the people at Kopan at that time was named Karuna. So maybe that's why. But he may have taken that name himself. All European Buddhists know karuna, but they do not talk about the Sanskrit word for love. It has not become an international word, has it? Okay. But he's saying it means divine compassion. The object is unlimited. So it's not just a few sentient beings, and it's not just people that we like who are nice to us. Okay. And then he didn't spend much time on compassion. We had just had some long-run teachings, so we supposedly were all brushed up on compassion. Then immeasurable joy means infinite divine joy. The object of joy is infinite. Most times we discriminate and we do not wish all persons to have joy. That's true, isn't it? Yeah. Our mind is funny. We make the decision. This one I like, this one I don't like. We have already divided people into so many groups. Discrimination does not come from the side of the object. The decision is made by us. Okay. So if we're being eaten up by our resentment and our hatred, we can't say it's the object. It's because those people are awful and terrible. You know, we have to own it. This is coming from our minds. Okay. I'm making the choice. You know, first I make the discrimination. This one is nice and they act the way I want. That one is not nice. They don't act the way I want. Therefore, I choose I'm going to love this one and I'm going to hate that one. Okay. So a Buddha doesn't have this kind of discrimination, this kind of partitioning of sentient beings into different groups like this. Yeah. So they love everybody, but they don't act the same towards everybody. Okay, the decision is made by us. Automatically, when we see someone, we think, oh, him? I am not happy with him. I will not have pleasure with him. That does not come from him. It comes from your own dualistic mind, creating divisions in your head, isn't it? Okay, so automatically, when we see the person, there is difficulty. We are psychologically bothered. Our mind is in conflict. Yeah. And sometimes people say that just even they meet somebody new, automatically they dislike that person and distrust that person. They've never even said hello, but automatically suspicious. Okay. Do you have people like that you've responded to? Yeah. Oh, you know, you first meet them, and I don't feel comfortable with this person. Huh? It could be because of some discrimination on our part. You know, I mean, like racial or religious or who knows what kind of discrimination about how somebody looks, you know, or who they are, what they come from. Or it could be on a personal level. Like, you know, I just don't like the way that person looks. And I'm staying away. Okay. I haven't even said hello. But we've put that person in a box already. And our mind is in conflict. Lord Buddha's psychology is really fantastic. It is a scientific explanation of how the mind works. I think if you are interested, if you understand this completely, it is too much. It is real. It does not need many words, does it? So beautiful, so simple. So if we have that understanding in our heart, the understanding's there, that feeling is there towards others. It's not something that you have to laboriously cultivate because you really can't stand somebody, but you're trying to be a good Buddhist. And I wish them joy. Okay, so it's not like that. Divine joy is not talking about cement. It is talking about living beings. Mostly our conflicts and our problems come from each other. They do not come from dogs or from cement. It's true, isn't it? Most of our problems come from other living beings. What do we complain about the most? We may complain about the weather for a few seconds, but that doesn't go on and on. It's too boring to complain about the weather. Yeah. But some sentient being who did something I don't like, there's no time limit on that, on how often and in how much detail we can tell the stories of how they harmed us, how they betrayed our trust, how they sabotaged us when we had such a good intention towards them. Okay, we can spend a while on that one, huh? Okay. Although I must say, sometimes we do get aggravated with machines. Yeah, I think I told you when I was, I worked my way through college and I was like the assistant for somebody doing a psychology experiment, and we had to test them about different things, and sometimes the machine wouldn't work, and kicking it got it to work. I didn't kick it too hard. That wouldn't have helped, but seriously, I kicked it, and it behaved better for a while. Okay. Okay. Automatically, when we see someone, we think, oh, him, I am not happy with him. I will not have pleasure with him. This comes from our own dualistic mind. Okay. Oh, sorry. The Western thing is always, oh, the environment, it is no good. That's why we have problems. The house is not good. The food is not good. That's why I have problems. Okay, there's too many bugs. There's too much rain. Yeah, there's too much, knapweed. There's not enough chocolate. Yeah, people are not washing their share of the dishes. I have to wash more dishes than other people. It's not fair. Yeah. What do those people think, that I'm their slave? Then we go on and we can develop really big stories about that one, huh? The Tibetan monasteries, do they complain about having to wash lots of dishes? You think so? Yeah? But many times you wind up washing your own dishes, right?
Except for taking rounds and going to the main kitchen to fetch food for their group. Washings are done by individuals, except for the buckets, whatnot. So there wouldn't be any ordinary day. On ordinary days, there wouldn't be extra things that they have to wash.
Wash dishes, yeah. But they'll find something else to complain
Oh, yeah,
about.
definitely. Everywhere they find something.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. If we check up our everyday life, we are always blaming external things. This is a very, he says it again. Oh, shopping is difficult. Oh, Kathmandu is difficult. This is a very deep subject. It seems simple, but it is not simple, dear. If you understand this, fantastic. Yeah, the ego will completely freak out. because you understand how ego, self-centeredness, self-grasping are making a big deal out of nothing. Okay, really, when you actualize this understanding, the ego has no space. I always emphasize that in your everyday life, when you are involved with human beings, as much as possible, you should solve any problems with your friends. Wherever you are, if you solve conflict, that is beautiful. That is your mandala, isn't it? So the people you live with, that you're in contact with on a daily basis, they're your mandala. Yeah. So if you can make peace with them and solve problems with them, you will be happy wherever you go. And so similarly, if we can have, infinite love, infinite compassion for others, then whoever we live with, wherever we are, whoever we're with, even that for a short time, we will connect with, and we will feel close to, and we will have a good relationship with. But as long as our own mind is intent on categorizing people into different things and being very judgmental about them, then wherever we go, whoever we're with, we're not going to be happy at all. And we're going to long for that one perfect person. Yeah. Who is that one perfect person? They're so perfect when you're not with them. Yeah. When you're with them, they're perfect for a while. And then reality sets in. Okay. Your entire surroundings are symbolic of universal living beings. Within my mandala, Piero is symbolic of all others. If I can live with Piero, wherever I am, I can enjoy with all universal living beings. And I agree, I know Piero. And if you can live with Piero, you can enjoy everybody. For sure. Okay. Everywhere I go, I relate to others through my experience with Piero. Seriously, if you have affection for Piero, you've got it solved, I enjoy being with people from any country and in any situation because they put the same situations to me as he does. So you can tell Lama is practicing transforming adversity into the path, because different people put you in different situations. If you see difficulties as part of your path, then when you have problems with somebody, it's like, oh, good, this is giving me an opportunity to apply that Dharma teaching. Okay. Okay. It's we've gone over time already. I'll read a little bit more. I love reading Lama. This is the first time I've ever done it for a class, but I love it. This is very good, fantastic, really worthwhile. This is the real basic teaching. We think that teaching should be something great, Lama giving his imagination, but that is not teaching. Real teaching is Lama teaching, and right now you are actualizing. Right now you are watching all your friends. Yeah, and you might be sitting next to Piero. Okay. I think this is very useful, especially for you people in front, the Sangha. It is really fantastic. The Sangha community is your inner mandala. So anything you do, instead of saying, oh, you are not good, you did this, you did that, it is very good to help each other. Also, try as much as possible to actualize infinite divine wisdom. This is very important. Okay. at its biggest, my class at Sarah Monastery had about 400 monks. Now Sarah has thousands of monks, but at that time, just coming out of Tibet, being in Buxa, and then reestablishing it, 400 monks. Some were like college people who only studied to gain intellectual knowledge. This kind of thing also exists in Tibetan monasteries. They are not at all actualizing. But about 100 of the monks were really fantastic. Every day they came together to discuss and debate the things they had studied. It was so helpful. They could say fantastic things with no hesitation because life was spent with each other. They never became upset and complained, oh, he said this to me. So here Lama is, esteeming the value of talking about Dharma topics with your friends, of discussing the Dharma with the people you hear teachings from. We may think when he talks about actualizing, it means we go into our cave, and we meditate. Not always. Yeah, we have to make sure we have the correct understanding of something before we meditate on it. We have to check it out. And so this kind of discussion and debate that they did in the monasteries was really good for checking things out and for sharing and from learning from your friends how they integrate the teachings, and to see parts where your understanding is incomplete too. It was so different to the usual defensive reaction, because every day we would come together at the same time, and our purpose was Dharma. We were not involved with any samsaric business. Our relationship was completely Dharma. Every day we were always discussing the Dharma, and they would usually start in the evening and go quite late into the evening. Yeah. This was my small experience. I enjoyed it so much. Even now, I sometimes think of those fantastic times that I enjoyed so much. Sometimes I miss them. Whenever I meet the people I used to study with, we are so happy. There is so much to discuss because our minds are so close. Okay? So this is something I often hear when I'm at different Dharma centers, is we come together for teachings and then everybody goes home after that. Yeah. Or we come together for teachings, then we go out for tea or whatever afterwards, but we just talk about, samsaric stuff. And I hear that a lot. And Westerners want community where you can share something deep in your own heart, your spiritual aspirations. But we don't know how to make community. Yeah. We're afraid if we bring up some Dharma topic, and talk about how we feel towards it, that other people they may think I'm preachy, or they may think that I just don't understand anything at all, or that I'm too uptight, I should relax and talk about, what J-Lo is doing. That people are scared to talk about the Dharma and how it relates to their lives. So this is why we do discussion groups here, and we have a certain format for the discussion groups where we really can get people to open up and talk personally from their own perspective about their own relationship with the Dharma. And these discussions are really valuable. And that's how you build real Dharma friendship and trust among practitioners. Okay. Therefore, it is very good for the Sangha to be watching and sometimes to ask each other, why did you say that? It is fantastic to make things straight. It helps very much. And remember, as Lama Zopa explained, the Kadampa teachings means that when one's ego is hurt completely, that is the teaching telling you something. Okay? So if you're talking with a Dharma friend and your ego gets completely trampled on, okay, then the Kadampa teachings, says that is the teaching telling you something. Okay. The Kadampas say that when the teaching shows a reflection of the ego and the ego freaks out completely so that it hurts in the heart, this is real teaching. Yeah. Yeah. If the teaching does not show up the ego, and nothing will happen. The Kadampa teachings are like a storm that knocks down all the rice. They thoroughly beat the ego, and it has no space. It goes underneath the ground. This is what Shantideva does to us too, huh? That is the real teaching. That is real Dharma. It is real wisdom, because when people say that is real wisdom because you can recognize it. It is real communication. It is not just intellectualizing, like in the West when people say, who wants this? It is not the real meaning. What he says is horrible. I know best. The way to show Dharma needs wisdom. If you are dogmatic, I say it is like this, your ideas are pom-pom. This is not good for Westerners. You must be skillful. Too much pom-pom is difficult for the Western mind. So be careful, okay? Yeah. So I tend to think that unless, when I'm giving a talk, unless it stirs up some reaction in people, then I haven't been doing something worthwhile. Yeah. If somehow people's ego is going, then the Dharma teaching's been worthwhile. Yeah. If they know how to practice and they see for themselves, this is a call for me to look at what am I conceiving? What am I dreaming up? What am I imputing? Okay. And then that becomes just a wonderful way to understand what the Dharma is, because you see what the Dharma isn't and how much you cling to what the Dharma isn't and how you're so sure what the Dharma isn't is actually right, and you see that because, ego freaks out a bit. Yeah. So when that happens, we should say, yippee, now I get to practice. We usually say, oh, that person, I went to teachings. They're supposed to be amusing. They're supposed to flatter me. Yeah. That's my teacher. They're supposed to look at me always smile at me, tell me how wonderful I am, tell me I'm the best disciple they've ever had, give me all sorts of little perks like being able to make their tea, wash their dishes, hang around a little bit. Yeah, I want to be special. And that's how my teacher should make me feel. Also, because I have so much trauma and I don't feel loved and, nobody's loved me my whole life. I have all these emotional needs that need to be satisfied, and my teacher should satisfy those. Boy, what a job description you gave your teacher. I don't think anybody's going to bite that hook. Yeah. But really, in the West, that's what many people are looking for. Yeah. Somebody who will think you're special, somebody who will flatter you, somebody important that you can be close to so you can feel good about yourself. Yeah. We want that, don't we? Yeah, it's embarrassing to admit it, but we've got to admit it. Okay. I mean, it's there even. We pretend to be ascetic. Yeah. So then we go to the opposite extreme. I don't want any emotional anything from my teacher. I am an adult. I am minding my own business. Yeah, we've got to admit what's there. Otherwise, we're in trouble. Okay, so I didn't finish the talk. Of course, I never finish anything, do I? There's still immeasurable equanimity, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay, do you like hearing Lama's talk? Yeah, that's helpful. So, and I should say too, what he says, Lama, people loved Lama, yeah, because he made you laugh. He made you look, he had this ability to make us see our defilements and laugh at them and laugh at ourselves and not take ourselves too seriously. So it seemed like he was always joking and playing and things like that. But, yeah, you knew when Lama didn't like something, yeah. And if you were a student, sometimes the new people would be laughing at what Lama was saying, and the Sangha was going, because we knew what he really meant. Yeah. And it wasn't the laughing, joking. Okay. What he'd also do is, he pointed people out in public too, and we don't like to be pointed out in public unless we're getting praised. But our mistakes, we don't like anybody to point out in public. That's just terrible. How can they do such a thing? Yeah, but he would do that sometimes, and and just yeah. Yeah, but we all knew that he cared about us. Yeah. But I was going to tell you this story. One thing he did, we used to have pujas sometimes with the little monks and the older monks, because it was a school. Kopan was basically a school for little monks. And so we would have pujas with the little monks. And, little monks are little monks. And older monks are older monks. And sometimes people would fall asleep during puja. Okay. So if you were falling asleep during puja, Lama would often have you get one of the small offering bowls, yeah, and put it on your head with the water in it. Yeah. And then you had to chant with everybody else, and you dare not fall asleep. Otherwise, that water bowl goes crashing down, you get wet, and it makes a ton of noise on the floor because it's a wooden floor. And then everybody turns around and looks at you. Okay, so he would do that. Yeah, and it worked. It worked, You managed to stay awake during that puja somehow. Actually, the topic once came up, we were discussing, have you ever seen anybody actually fall off their seat because they fell asleep in meditation or in puja? Because we see people like, and sometimes it gets but actually fall off. So in one retreat we were doing, somebody, I think it happened at 4:00 in the morning, because Lama Zopa was, you were waiting there since 7. He would start teaching at 11, and the teaching was still going at 4:00. And somebody actually fell off their seat. Yeah. So you see how kind we are here? Yeah? Yeah? Not starting at 11 o'clock and going to 4. That's only when we burn the thing. Which can be avoided if we time things better earlier. Yeah.